Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the second lecture of chapter 2. And chapter 2, of course, is linear elastic fracture mechanics, LEFM. I need you to pay a little bit of extra attention because whenever you do quizzes and other things, then you get away from the lecture. Also, when you are thinking of the midterm and so on and reviewing only chapter 1A and chapter 1B, you tend to lose focus on chapter 2. But always remember that whether you are preparing for one quiz or for one midterm, the lectures that are going now are going to be part of future quizzes and exams. So when you do this, then forget about the other quiz and the other midterms and so on, and concentrate on the lecture and relate it to the previous lecture. So that is important. So today, of course, we will quickly review lecture 1. Then we will start today's work with an example on micro and macro crack, the situation that we touched in the last lecture. We will talk of energy release rate. Then we will go to instability and R curve, and related to that are the topics of reasons for the R curve shape and load control versus displacement control. After that, a whole new topic of stress analysis of cracks starts, and we will see how much of that we can cover today or not. So let us quickly review, as we just told you, what we did in lecture. We introduced LEFM, the linear elastic fracture mechanics. How is this and how is linear elastic fracture mechanics related to the other chapters in the book? We started, of course, with the atomic view of fracture. Atomic view of fracture, the first theory that was used to build up equations about fracture strength. We showed you this figure about minimum potential energy and a stable configuration and interatomic distance x naught. We described the equations for critical stress where rupture will happen. Then we started talking of stress concentration effect of flaws. You already know it from in the introduction chapter, but now we are doing it in more detail. We introduced the geometry and the equation. So this is the standard geometry that was used of an elliptical flaw and a plate which is roughly infinite in dimensions compared to the. We further built up the equations involving the radius of curvature at the ellipse tip, rho, and other values, other parameters. We further divided it and we discussed that, you see, if there is a very sharp crack, then the radius of curvature is almost zero and therefore there will be infinite stress. So what should be the other approach? We came up with the last equation that you can see in terms of gamma S and A, but without involving any radius of curvature. And then another equation, right? So the previous equations also initially by Inglis, then by Griffith, and this numerical solution by Galen and Kanninen. We started then talking of the Griffith energy balance, where we defined E capital pi Ws. We showed you that rather than taking the elliptical crack, we are taking a sharp crack. So we can treat it as an ellipse where A is much bigger than B. And then we developed that equation, and you see that there is a factor of 1 minus nu squared added to the previous equation. And this equation now is an equation for a circular crack rather than a flat. So this is the circular crack. Then the comparison with the critical stress criterion, that you have the energy side and you have the other side. So we showed you both the equations, they are there, and how much difference there will be in fracture stress or critical stress predicted by one theory as compared with. Then we discussed the two theories that you see they are the starting point of fracture mechanics. So there is a huge jump for several hundred years of science, but both the theories have certain flaws or limitations. And we further discussed this quite a bit. And then that to remove this problem, we assume that the problem should be divided into two parts, that there is a crack nucleation before the crack can grow. For that, we assumed this geometry that there is a macroscopic crack which we can see by the naked eye, and there is a microscopic crack near it. And the effect of this is that it increases the stress on this also, and therefore the local stress here anywhere between is given by a new equation. And I'm reminding you that in most of the equations we are not really deriving, we are just trying to explain the physics and mechanics and taking the equations directly. With this approach, there is the modified Griffith equation where rather than only the surface energy gamma S, a gamma P is also there, that if the material is not purely brittle, if there is a small amount of plasticity at the crack tip, then gamma P will take care of that. And then we said that rather than using gamma S and gamma P, if we directly combine everything into something called the WF, the work required to fracture or the energy required to fracture, then we can combine all the approaches. And then we showed you that if you see that, then a purely brittle material, a material which has, this is a purely atomic version for a brittle material. This has a sharp crack with some plasticity on the end, and this is any irregular crack. And in each cases you define WF, the work required to fracture or the energy required to fracture. So here it is gamma S, here it is gamma S plus gamma P, and here it is gamma S into the stress area of the whole thing. So having a WF approach is more generic in nature. This is where we stopped last time. I have taken more time in reviewing today previous lecture because, as I said, you were maybe mentally not connected to the lecture because of the quiz and exam and so on. So now we start lecture 2 with this background. So this I have again explained to you, but just that, right? That we can think of the energy required to fracture as only the surface energy, which is breaking the bond energy, which is breaking the cohesion strength and so on. Or we can assume that there is a sharp crack which is explained by this one, but at the tip of the sharp crack there is some plastic deformation. So if there is some way we can find gamma P, the surface energy required for the plastic part, then we can define it. And finally, if there is any irregular crack geometry, not a sharp crack, not an elliptical crack, any, then the true area upon the projected area number into this. So this is there. And now to sum up the Inglis, Griffith and so on approach until now, let us do an example. There is always that dichotomy, I told you, right? You do not like math in general, but you do not like descriptive questions also. You always want to have numerical problems. Numerical problems mean you can apply math to the physics of the problem. Okay, so we will read through the problem. A flat plate made from a brittle material contains a macroscopic through thickness crack with half length A1 and notch tip radius rho. Macroscopic, right, which we can see. So A1 is the length and tip radius is rho. A sharp penny shaped micro crack, penny shaped circular micro crack with radius A2 is located near the tip of the larger flaw. So it is like the previous figure. It is like the previous figure that there is a microscopic crack and there is a macroscopic crack. But the micro crack this time is circular in shape. It is penny shaped. Estimate the minimum size of the micro crack required to cause failure in the plate when Griffith equation is satisfied by the global stress and A1, right? So I am explaining this again. There is a macroscopic crack, right? A macroscopic crack with half length A1 and tip radius rho. close to this macroscopic one, there is a small micro crack, but this is circular, penny shaped, micro crack, penny shaped. And okay, and the radius of this micro crack is A2. So this is now given. What is required? Estimate the minimum size of the micro crack, the size A2. Find the size radius A2 so that failure can happen using Griffith equation and that approach and so on. So as I always request you, as I always implore you, that now please pause my lecture, take a pen and pencil, whatever page, go back to the previous figure, go back to the previous equations, do not look further into the lecture, right? So you can go back, find the English equation, the Griffith equation, and especially the figure where there is a macroscopic crack and a microscopic crack together. And then from the Griffith final equation and so on, start to solve the problem. Okay, so please pause now, and you will unpause only when you have really tried your level best, because unless you develop that habit that no, every problem is a challenge to me, I will not look into the solution. I will not depend on my teacher to explain it to me. He will explain it to you later on, but no, I can independently do it. And if you can solve some of these problems yourself, then you are mentally prepared to solve any problems for any quiz and so on. Okay, so pause. So you have hopefully solved it already now, but what I am showing is, I am showing the equation that Griffith revolved, that this is the critical or the failure stress 2E gamma S upon pi A under root, all is under root, right? So this is the Griffith equation, and this is the situation that is there in the diagram, that there is a macroscopic crack with radius of curvature rho and with half length A1. But rather than this micro crack, the micro crack is here, and the micro crack diameter is 2A2 or radius A2, yes, but this is circular. This is circular, right? So this is there. Now what you want to really know, what you want to really concentrate on, that if this situation is there, then they have already given you the equation for the localized stress here, that this large crack, because there is a crack, there is a stress concentration. So stress concentration of this will affect this crack also, which is a small one, and therefore there will be a localized stress which is given by this equation. So you have the Griffith equation and you have this localized equation, right? And this local stress is because of this big one and a combination of this. So once you combine these two, then that is it, right? So there are two things in the previous diagram, that the local stress is given by this equation, and because this is the localized stress, but because we have a penny shaped crack, therefore this equation was there, penny shaped crack. So now you take the Griffith equation, you take the penny shaped crack, you take this and you substitute, and once you do that, then the two equations, equate them, and once you have equated them, then solve for A2. In this equation, this is the penny shaped equation, so A is A2 of the penny shaped crack that we showed you in the diagram, right? Penny shaped crack of size A2. So right, so then this is there. So this is the size A2, which is required pi squared rho 16 1 minus nu square, and this can be defined in terms of the radius of curvature of the larger crack, and of course because of the penny shaped crack, the value of nu, the Poisson's ratio, is there. So this is not a numerical problem in a way, right? This is sort of a not really a derivation, but something like that. But that is sometimes what we need, that you understand the theory, the equations and the figures and everything is there. Now can you really solve it yourself?